Hey, happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the Midweek Rewind, episode 19. And we've got it's kind of some fun stuff to talk about today. So, Brent, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I really am.
Good.
Great day.
Well, this is a big week for multiple reasons. It's a big week around here because we're launching the Forward campaign. There's a lot of stuff going on. For the rest of the world, this Sunday is a big day for another reason.
Yeah.
There's a little sporting event happening, and some commercials. Maybe we could be paying attention.
I've seen a few of them already.
I saw the Jimmy Fallon one.
Yeah.
They're starting to leak out. So.
Yeah.
So later today we're going to be talking about unity.
Okay.
And we probably have unity of our friends watching today of who they want to win today.
Mostly
or on Sunday, most likely.
Yeah. I have a son-in-law who will go unnamed who isn't cheering for Kansas City.
I'll go and call him out. Ryan, you're wrong. So, so yeah, we got a big game. And you mentioned that you had some stuff you wanted to talk about related to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting on why people are loyal to or cheer for certain teams. Of course, there's geography. You're from Kansas, you're from Kansas City or whatever.
Yep.
There's family loyalty. You know, your parents can like breed into your DNA a loyalty. So there's geography, there's family. Then there's you like a certain player.
Right.
And you may not know anything about the team, but that player is like the thing that gets you.
Yep.
I think there are Christians who have a feel-good connection with a team or an owner or a coach or a group of players that are Christians. And I've even seen, some pictures of the Kansas City Chiefs all kneeling and praying and Bible studies, or you hear these. And so there's just a number of measons why people choose teams. There is I ran across a Facebook something with Dan Mears. Okay.
Yeah.
This guy is the longest tenured mascot in all of professional sports. He started right out of college. Okay. And at some point, I didn't know this, the Chiefs used to have a mascot that was a Chief.
That makes sense.
And
yes.
I don't know if it's some politically correct thing or something, but whatever drove it, they moved to a wolf.
Right. Yep.
What's that got to do with the Chiefs?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's a friendly animal that's not.
So they have KC Wolf, which is the mascot. And this Dan Mears has been this mascot forever. And so in the interview I saw, it's very interesting. They showed all the clips of him driving four-wheelers and leaping off and tackling mascots and all his stunts. And
this is the headbang against the field goal post if they miss.
Yeah. And so he tells the story of he'd be, going down some zip line. And one time he did some kind of a bungee jump a few years ago, and something went wrong. He was practicing. The stadium was empty. And he broke his back, 7 ribs, a bunch of stuff. I mean, nearly killed him.
Yep.
But some people will cheer for the Chiefs. I say rightly so, because there's a guy who is a Christian and he trusts God, and he's written a book, Wolves Can't Fly.
That's a great book title. I love it.
Because it's kind of an ironic thing, and he's now laughing at it because he lived through it. But Wolves Can't Fly. So anyway, what about the praying? Have you ever, honestly, Matt, have you prayed for a team to win?
I don't remember. I probably did in junior high or grade school or something like that. I wouldn't put it past myself, but I don't recall specific instances.
I don't know I think there was one season in college I played soccer.
Oh yeah.
And we were dismal. One time we played a team, and I tell people, I played soccer. We played one school. They beat us by 2 touchdowns because it was like 12-0. Yeah.
Well, the math almost adds up. Yeah.
They beat us by 6 and 6.
Right.
It's but I think there was a time when I probably prayed for a victory. We had other better seasons, but it's just interesting. We're in a prayer series right now, and one of the reasons God doesn't answer a prayer is because you've got 2 Christians praying for opposite things.
Right.
And are there any Christians up in San Francisco? Yes.
Yeah.
And are there like noble Christians who on the team? And so it's just interesting. And so for what it's worth, you can pray that they play well.
Nobody gets hurt.
Nobody gets hurt. You can pray that Kansas City wins, but God's not going to listen to that prayer because he doesn't know what to do with that.
Right.
But yeah, it's going to be a great day. I love football.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I love church. So I'll wake up in the morning. I'll think of church and football.
Yep.
But I think I'll think of church first.
Okay, good. Well, speaking of church and football, I have a question. I should have asked you this beforehand, but I'm going to put you on the spot. So I think I'm supposed to help serve communion this Sunday. It's a communion Sunday.
Okay.
So theologically, can I serve communion in a Pat Mahomes t-shirt on Super Bowl Sunday?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, it's on Facebook. It's official.
It will bother some people.
It probably will. I haven't decided yet for sure.
Yeah, and that's interesting.
I mean, this is 50 years in the making. We got to take advantage of it. But anyways. Okay, so switching gears here just a little bit. So on Sunday, this past Sunday, you wrapped up your the Prayers of Jesus series. I know it was one that you were kind of looking forward to. It's when Jesus actually prayed for us in kind of a weird twist of things there. So the main thing that Jesus prayed for, and the kind of the main point of your sermon was horizontal unity.
Right.
So why don't you give us a quick recap of what we went through on Sunday?
So yeah, Jesus, of all the things he could have prayed for, he prayed for our oneness, our unity. And 3 times he kind of referred to horizontal unity, like the church, the people ought to be one. And one time, one with God. But we dealt with this one. And it's just interesting that I still think of all the things he could have prayed for, and he wants 1,000 other things for us.
Right.
He wants us to obey and to love and to forgive and to be nice and to follow him with our whole hearts. There's a lot of other things that God wants, that Jesus wants for us, but he chose that word. I want them to be one. And, the reason for that, probably pretty logical. When you're united with your wife, your husband, your kids, your friends, your church, when there's a sense of you're together and rowing together and on the same page, even if you don't agree in everything, you're together and you're committed to each other. You're happier.
Yep.
What else? You get more done.
Yep.
There's just some tangible benefits to being one. So yeah, he prayed for oneness, though I still don't know how to define unity.
Right. It is tough because another kind of main point that you made was that unity doesn't have to mean uniformity. So we don't have to all look exactly the same, speak exactly the same. Like unity does not mean conformity. So that leads to a mess.
It does.
Because we want to, I think most people would say they want to be unified. Most people, I don't think, have a super divisive spirit on purpose on every issue. So I wanted to talk about one of my favorite quotes. I know you've mentioned it several times. I think it's been addressed to St. Augustine. I know a lot of people have said it. So the whole idea that in essentials, unity, and non-essentials, liberty, and in all things, charity. And that kind of sums up a lot of what you talked about on Sunday. It's good to be unified on the kind of the core principles of Christianity, but on other things, it's good to live with freedom and grace with people. But that gets extremely messy.
But yeah, and life is complicated, and so you just got to deal with it. That Jesus, another example, Jesus said, "Give to anyone who asks." That's a good principle. You should.
Yeah.
Paul said, "If they don't work, they shouldn't eat."
Right.
And you just got to try to weave stuff together.
Yeah.
So when you say you should be unified, which the Bible says, but Paul also says, hey, on doubtful issues, each one should be fully convinced in his own mind. And so kind of like give to everyone if they ask, and they have to work. There's collide. No, you ought to be unified, but it's okay to disagree.
Yeah.
So this is life, and this is one of the things I love about the Bible is it's honest. It's real in a life where it's not all going to fit perfectly.
Right.
And so we are stuck with the reality that there's no list of
Right.
this you have to agree on and this you don't have to. We just know there's stuff in both categories.
Right. So if I were to press you a little bit, I'm guessing the list of essentials is probably fairly short, and then the non-essentials would be longer, maybe. So maybe why don't you give us a couple examples of things that you would put in both categories?
So one example would be I put as a non-essential.
Okay. If people wear Chiefs uniforms to church on Sunday.
Of more significance than that.
Okay.
I put in a non-essentials everything from whether it's okay to go to certain movies,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's okay to do social drinking and how much, or theologically things like young earth or old earth was the earth created in 6 days, 24 hours, or 6 long periods of time?
Yeah.
And so those are examples of what I would say are second tier.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That God created first tier.
Yep.
That we ought to be obedient and pure and holy.
Mm-hmm.
So that does, it's a grid for what kind of stuff you watch.
Yep.
Okay. So there's a second tier that, and then there's the first tier, and the trunk would be the essentials.
Okay.
Now for me, Jesus is God, the Holy Spirit is God, Trinity, the Bible is true, Jesus died, he's the only way to heaven. Every Christian ought to be serving for the mission of telling the whole world. I mean, we call that our orthodox. Orthodox means straight. Ortho means straight. It's like the fundamentals of our faith. But then each of us, let's imagine in this tree, have 12 big limbs.
Okay.
And then we have branches, and then we have twigs.
Okay.
And so theologically, it's not just what we believe, it's the level of importance we attach to it.
Okay.
So for me, I lean toward, I can't answer all the questions, but I lean toward 6 24-hour days. That's what I believe of creation. But that's a branch out here.
Yeah.
And some Christians, that's a major limb.
Right.
And so you can actually be in disagreement with someone that you agree on. I agree 24-hour days. I'm just not going to fight over it, and I don't get bent out of shape, and I've got more flexibility than you do. And they're upset at me because I don't attach enough importance. So on the unity thing, it's not only what's in the trunk and what's not in the trunk. It gets complicated because you can be on the same page with someone but have a different level of importance. And then you get into conflict. And so it just gets complicated, but the effort is the gem, it's the treasure, it's the goal. And I talked about that on Sunday, that unity is less about figuring out the checklist of whether you agree on everything. It's more about your heart. And we looked at what Ephesians 4 that listed a handful of things. So that you end up saying, all I know is if you got proud people in the room, you're not going to have unity. But if you have humble people, you got a chance. If you got gentle people who don't yell and fight and get obnoxious, you have a chance at unity. You make every effort. I'll try to get along. I'll try to be one. It's your posture that actually defines your unity more than the checklist. It's your posture.
That's good. And I think this is one of those things where I think, again, most people watching or listening or on Sunday, it all sounds really good. And I think we all agree with the principle. But day to day, practically, when things kind of come to shove, that's when this kind of stuff just gets so messy. So I know there's a couple of verses that I've heard you quote a bunch of times that say, as far as it is possible, or as far as it depends on you, live it. I'll get the verse wrong, but there's a lot of verses that say, basically do the best you can. You can't control what the other person does. So let's say you're in a conversation with someone who, let's just stick with the 24-hour day thing. For them, that's a bottom of the trunk pillar for them. And for you, it's a twig on the third story. So how do you handle that? And how far do you push? And when do you just let go? And if you let go, are you just being a coward? Or how do you walk those really touchy conversations? Because you're a pastor, and so you do it perfectly every time.
Well, I don't know how to say. We don't prep for this stuff, so
yes.
I'm just on the fly here. Matt, one of the things that gives me an adrenaline rush is trying to maneuver these conversations. And over the years, by God's grace, I've learned by and large when to be stern and not back down, or when to say, man, you're kind of opinionated about that. And I laugh, just settle them down.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll all have family members or friends that love to argue. Now, I don't love to argue. The adrenaline rush is just maneuvering that conversation. And for me, that's the challenge.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's humor. Sometimes I just say, I've said this to many people, when you talk like that, you're really hard to get along with. Do you know how you sound?
Yeah.
And so you make this judgment of how to maneuver. But then you have a family member or that uncle who always is raising stuff, and he just wants to make people mad.
Right.
And there you have tough decisions of, do I even engage or what?
Right.
But it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. And that's where, I'll just read the verse from Ephesians you were referencing earlier. So Paul wrote, be completely humble and gentle, be patient, bearing with one another in love, make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. And again, you've already mentioned this today, and you hit it on Sunday, that it's really all about your attitude more than your stance on particular issues. So, I mean, I guess the best advice we could give is just to do your best to do those handful of things, and because some people you're not going to win. Like you're just, no matter how hard you do those things, there's no way for you to come out of that argument. So let's take a left turn a little bit here. Let's talk about the difference between unity and fellowship. Okay. So if push came to shove, I would admit that I am already unified with every Christian on the planet, because we are all called members of one body. Right.
So there's an ontological, an existence, a being. I mean, it's just who I am. I am already one with every Christian on the planet, not even my choice, because I have been declared to be in one body. So I'm one. So push came to shove, I acknowledge that. In terms of the emotional and the disagreement side, and are we one, if push came to shove, I'd say, anyone who has the same blood coursing through them, Jesus, and is trying to make disciples of all nations and love, on that sense, I say, yeah, I'm one with you. But I'm not in agreement with a whole bunch of other things, the ways you live, things you believe. And so the push came to shove, there's ways that we can say, yes, we're unified. But there is an interesting comparison between unity and fellowship. So fellowship is the hanging out together. Okay. And so I think when people choose a church to fellowship, they might have 10 or 15 things on the list. And it's okay to have a longer list for who you hang out with, what kind of church you go to, because honestly, you can't be in clear conscience in fellowship with a group of people that you're unified with, but you can't worship with them every week. Okay. So honestly, I can be one with people who have very different theological positions, but I could never attend their church. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. So people, I just say, hey, when you choose to change your fellowship, keep the unity thing. Okay. So people will choose a church because of the kids program. or their friend was there, or it's a theological river, a bandwidth that they agree with, or they like the pastor. We have people who are at our church because of our kids program, but if it weren't for that, they wouldn't be at our church. You can be unified, but you'd say, I can't fellowship with them, and that's okay. You're still one in your great purpose, but you won't be able to go to that church. And we'll have a list, written or not, and it will have 5-10 things, and it will be on a pecking order. And so that's what I was referring to, saying, hey, some people attend our church because of the music. Some people attend our church because of the kids, and they don't like the music, but they put up with it. Some of them like me, but they don't like that part.
Right.
But ultimately,
that's going to be true everywhere.
Everywhere. It's why you shop where you shop. It's why you eat restaurants. It's why it's everything. And fellowship, my encouragement is let's have some grace here. Like, we are a consumer culture. That I heard the other day, we've moved from DIY, do it yourself, to do it for me, DIFM. And we're just in a culture that wants to be pandered in every way. And so when you look at unity, that's your big calling. Okay. But fellowship, there's more flexibility in what church you attend or who your friends are, but show some grace. We live in a harsh world that doesn't open itself up to holding hands despite the disagreement. I mean, the lack of civility in every government down, right? Don't get us started. No one loves the incivility. There's zero attempt to fellowship together. All they do is come with guns a-blazing.
And that's actually great. I wanted to kind of wrap up with this, and that's a great transition. So one of the verses that you referenced on Sunday, Jesus was praying, and he said, Father, may they all be one, so that the world may believe you sent me. And for me, I think that's so important, because like you were just saying, in the divisive, just crazy world we live in, a lot of people don't have a very good impression of Christians because of this kind of stuff. They find something they disagree with, and they yell and scream and let people know how they feel, and it generally does not honor God very well. So I'm glad you talked about that, but it was refreshing for me to remember that was actually Jesus's prayer. He wants us to be one so that we make the church, make Jesus more appealing and more inviting. And so I'm glad you talked about that. For me, I'm glad that it's an actual verse, and it's a great reminder of why this is so important.
Well, one of the things I said, I think, was our reputation defines God's reputation. Jesus said, I'm trying to show you God. So he was trying, and we want to give a picture of God. And so if our reputation as Christians is fight, like that just makes God look bad. But if we can be together, that makes God look good. And it's so the world will know. And I gave that great, just a heartwarming story of our wonderful church. And we've got warts. We've got a long ways to go, a lot of things we need to shore up. But I'm telling you, when we threw that building project and name change we just dropped it into their laps. And 6 or 7 weeks later, we voted. And the 85% in favor of was just a miracle. But we got a great church. But perhaps even more than that is the 15%. They are such noble people. I've been on the losing side of votes. It never feels good. But our church is committed to unity. It's amazing. People aren't getting mad and leaving. They're not being divisive. Those that don't like the decision are just being noble. And that's what makes God look good. It really does. It's great. I'm proud of our church.
Me too. I know leading up to those votes, I know a lot of us were just a little anxious, not sure how they were going to go. But I mean, it's been amazing how smooth and how unified we've been. And so it's been really cool to see that all come together.
Not without disagreement, but we've showed the world you're one so that they'll believe. We did that verse on these two votes. And again, if you're listening and you're on the no side and you're frustrated, and I'm just saying thank you. I'm just saying thank you. It was great.
Yep. All right. Well, and speaking of the name in the building, we'll give a quick preview for this Sunday. So we're starting the Forward campaign. Everyone will get one of these fancy new booklets. We'll pass these out on Sunday that have all kinds of information about the campaign, but then there's life group questions and sermon note pages. And so this is the big launch of this thing that's going to be.
And I'm looking forward to it. We're going to be 5 weeks in 2 Corinthians 8 and 9.
Yep.
They're all on generosity and just the gift that is to the world when we're generous, the gift that is to God, the gift that generosity is to us.
Yeah.
The church sometimes gets a bum rap on always asking for money. I don't think I'll say this on Sunday, but 14 and a half years here, besides the capital campaigns where we're raising money for a building, I preached on money 6 times.
That's pretty good.
In 14 and a half years.
14 and a half years. Yep.
Like, I should probably talk about it a lot more. Okay. And so, but yeah, we're going to jump into this without apology. We'll be grace-filled, but generosity does something for us. It does something for God, and it does something for the world. And of course, launching into this, I'm excited.
Yeah. And just a quick preview. One thing I've heard you say a couple of times is it actually sets us free from just the trouble that money brings. And so I'm looking forward to hearing you talk about that some more, because I know that's a key part of what you're going to be talking about. So, all right. Well, hey, it's just about time. And if you're watching live, sorry for those of you who are watching, we got kicked off a couple of times. So thanks for staying with us as we had some weird tech glitches here. But looking forward to the campaign. The Prayers of Jesus series was great. So if you missed any of those, I encourage you to go back and watch or listen. That was a great way to start the new year. But we're looking forward to the next 5 weeks as we start this campaign. It's going to be great. It's going to be good. So with that, hey, go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
You can pray for them to win if you want, but it won't do you any good.
I won't do that. But you can cheer loud.
Cheer loud. And we hope to see you Sunday. We'll be back here next Thursday. And please make every effort to be here for the next 5 weeks. It's going to be a really cool series. And we're going to try to move forward in unity.
Yep. It's a great big season for our church.
It's exciting. So, well, thanks for joining us today. Hope to see you Sunday. Have a great rest of your Thursday.
See you later.